So I didn't mention it, but this previous video, there's a part 1 and a part 2 to this story because I don't want these videos to be longer than 10 minutes, and that one was already 7 minutes. This is part 2 to the hero's journey story. If you haven't heard part 1, go back and listen to it. Where I left off was that my mom's boyfriend at the time said that I needed to go to this boarding school in France because he truly believed that if I'd stayed in Houston, that I would either be put into jail or I would commit suicide, because he could see how miserable I was on the inside. And my mom and I really had a terrible relationship at the time. She and I were very disconnected. As in my video regarding my background story, I shared that when I was 15, my mom and my stepfather were going through a divorce, and so I was in high school going through this family divorce. It was my 3rd family divorce. And then also having one arm and being a girl and being in high school was just miserable. So a lot of stuff going on. And you know, as I'm speaking and telling you this story, I'm actually really bored because this story, my personal story, I just find boring now because of how much work I've done. And not to like brag on myself, but I've really sat with my past, and I've worked on myself with such devotion that telling you this story and trying to recall and remember who I was and where I was at that time, it just feels so foreign. Like I feel like I'm telling a story that's not even mine. Why I'm saying this is just a testament to how much you can change. You really can change. You can become a totally different person in one lifetime. It's really possible. You just got to figure out the roots of who you are, your behavior, your feelings. Like you got to reverse engineer, unpack, rearrange, redesign your whole inner world. You got to inner engineer yourself to produce a different reality. And you have to let go of who you think you are and let go of what you think you know about the world. Which is kind of where I'm going with the story of, I then was sent to this boarding school, and the last day that I was in Houston before I was getting on a flight to fly across an ocean to be moved to France, I had these girlfriends of mine that I had known from middle school, and they were part of the cool girls, and I always really wanted to impress them and be their friend. They invited me to go out and celebrate my last night in Houston, so I said, okay. I said, but guys, I haven't even packed yet, and I'm moving across an ocean tomorrow, so please make sure that I do actually go home. And I was like, don't keep me out too late. Well, we go to get Mexican food, I have one drink, and then they say, oh, let's go out. So then we go to my friend's house, and then they all want to go out to the club, and I just keep saying yes. I leave my car at my friend's apartment, which was inside of a shopping strip down like in sort of a kind of a rough part of town in Houston. And I remember we go to this club. I remember walking into the club, and that's all I remember. And then I remember like seeing sidewalk, grass, and then hearing a guy say, ma'am, get in the car. So in Houston, if you are picked up by police for whatever reason, like being intoxicated, for example, they can either take you to jail or they can take you to a sobriety house. And since I was 18, they could have totally taken me to jail, but I got lucky and they took me to a sobriety house, which is basically like a drunk tank where you go and you hang out and you call someone and you wait for someone to come and get you. But what was strange was that clubs in Houston closed at 2, and I was found between like 3 and 4. It was the middle of winter. I was wearing a tube top and jeans. I had a jacket, but I was found without my purse and without my jacket. I remember being so cold. I can still remember how cold I was. And luckily, when I got to the sobriety house, they let me make phone calls. I only knew 2 numbers by heart, which was my ex-boyfriend's and my grandmother's. Of course, my grandma doesn't answer, but my ex-boyfriend does. And my ex-boyfriend gave me the numbers of my best friend's family, which happens to be his best friend's family. My best friend is siblings with his best friend, which is how we met each other. And so then my best friend's mom came and picked me up. Luckily, she answered in the middle of the night. yeah, and she to this day will be like, she had to have been drugged. Like, my best friend's mom believes that I was drugged because of the state that she picked me up in, and I don't remember anything except for walking into the club, and I only had one drink at dinner. I didn't do anything else. And so, yeah, it was pretty scary for my mom, for my grandmother, because here they are about to take me to the airport. My mom was flying with me over to France to help me get adjusted into boarding school. She was taking me over there a week early before school started to introduce me to Paris and get me acquainted with the subway system and all these things, which was very nice of her. But yeah, it was a total mess. And, you know, I go to my mom's house in the morning after I spent the rest of the evening with my best friend's family, and my mom wouldn't even look at me. She was so disappointed, so scared. My best friend's mom told her, if I was you, I wouldn't put Fifi on that plane and she would not be going to Paris. And my mom was like, I don't know what else to do with her, because if she doesn't go, she's just going to continue to do these kinds of things. And what was driving me at that time was I just did not care about my life at all. I really didn't care. I would talk to the sky and say, can I please start over again? Can I please just come back and be someone else? I want to be anyone else but me. It was a really dark time of my life. I just felt so helpless and so lost. And so where it all turns around is, or at least the dawning of the turnaround, is that on my flight from Houston to Paris, I had a layover in Istanbul, in Turkey. I'm trying to decide what details to tell you, because this was really another big part of why this was such a mess. Was that, remember, my car was parked in this shopping strip apartment complex thing, and I was found without my purse, so I didn't have my car keys, and I left my cell phone in my car thinking, oh, this is going to be responsible, I don't want to lose my phone, so let me put my phone in my car and leave it in my car, that way in case I lose my phone, I don't have the possibility of losing my phone. Well, since I didn't have my purse with me, my car had to be towed out of that apartment complex and be towed to my grandmother's house. I had my school stuff in my car, I had my phone, and my purse, it was a Louis Vuitton bag, and it also had 200 euros in it, and it had my car keys, it had my jacket that I needed to take with me to France. It was such a mess. And so my mom can't even look at me on the plane. And on my plane ride, I'm carving into this journal that I have. I still have the journal. And I was writing, Faith, please wake up. The world is at your front doorstep, kid. This is do or die. Sorry, Sparta. Faith, please wake up. Please wake up. Because I was so afraid of myself. I was like, why? How can I? Even what I thought was going to be a good decision ended up being an absolute disaster of a decision. So when you lose trust with yourself like that, where do you go from there? When you don't even trust yourself, you can't even trust yourself to make a good decision. And this is where I learned what is self-trust and what is self-respect and self-esteem. Self-respect and self-esteem is built on, do you trust yourself or not? So anyways, that's another video. But yeah, so I'm carving into this journal, and I didn't know it at the time, but what I was doing was I was entering this deep meditative state and surrendering and asking for help, and truly from the bottom of my heart, sincerely apologizing, because I had made such a mess for my family. I had made such a mess for everyone involved, and most importantly, myself. My best friend had to pack my bags for me because I was hyperventilating because I had to get on a plane in 8 hours and none of my stuff was packed, and just such a mess. That when I get to Istanbul, this is where it gets weird. So I land in Istanbul. This is 9 minutes, damn it. I get into Istanbul. I don't have a phone, but luckily I have my laptop, and I remember being in the hotel, my mom's sleeping, and I go to the bathroom and open up my laptop, and I'm checking out Facebook, and I have this message request from a random person, and I open it, and it's this guy that says, hey, are you so-and-so? I found a bag on my morning walk this morning, and I checked to see whose bag it was, and there was a wallet, and your ID is in the wallet. Is this your bag? And he sends me a photo, and there's a sidewalk, there's grass, and there's my bag on the sidewalk with my coat folded in it. And and he said that he found it on his morning walk at 8 a.m., which to me is just crazy because I left this nice bag in a part of Houston where like there's bars, there's clubs. Like, why would my bag just be sitting so nicely on the side of the road? Like, someone would have come and picked it up. Like, it's the Louis Vuitton bag. It's very clearly a Louis Vuitton bag. So I was just totally overwhelmed and blown away and humbled that this strange man just, one, my bag was found, and then two, he took the liberty and the initiative and the kindness to determine who owned the bag and then find me on Facebook and reach out. And when I got my bag back, because my mom's boyfriend flew from where he was in Boston to come to Houston to pick up my stuff to then come and meet us in France. I mean, everyone worked so hard to clean up my mess, and such a mess. But my point is that moment when I opened up that message, I looked up at the ceiling and I said, "Are you real?" Because for me, the synchronicity of it, the timing of it, I interpreted that as when I surrender, when I, from my heart, make a call, I send out a plea, and I humble myself, and I have sincerity, and I make a call, I make a request, it is answered, and I am connected to something much bigger than myself that I really have no clue about or understand or probably will ever be able to comprehend. But when that happened, I said, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. Like, what I think is true is not true. It just really flipped my whole entire reality around. So fast forward a bit, I dedicated those 6 months in boarding school, which was intense. I never had that much discipline in my life. Lights out by 9, like, can't be alone, not allowed to go off and do your own thing, have to always have supervision, like, so strict. I said, okay, I'm gonna dedicate this 6 months to figuring out who I am, mind, body, and spirit. What am I as a human being? Like, really just getting the groundwork of what does it mean to be alive? How do you think? How does one understand what's true, what's not true? I just did a deep clean of my psyche, of my belief systems, of figuring all this out. Like, this language that I'm using, I didn't have this language. I went in with 2 questions. For those 6 months, I meditated on 2 questions, or 2 statements, really. Like, what I think I know, I don't know. And who I think I am not. So I really just, with those 2, I flipped everything upside down and just said, I don't know anything, so let me figure out what is the nature of life, and who am I, and what am I? What is this body that I'm in, and how does it all connect? And I really studied food and nutrition because I had a really big problem with sugar. My body, my mind, I had like a lot of problems with my energy levels, and I had a mad sugar addiction. So I just really I started studying nutrition, I studied spirit science, I studied philosophy. I was in a philosophy class for my high school, and I just, like, mind, body, spirit, started researching and studying. And my mom, to this day, she will tell you that when she picked me up from boarding school, I was a completely different kid. So it is possible to change. And ever since then, I've just been changing. Not always linear, but, like, you know, overall, an upward trend. And I share this with you because I want to inspire you to change and let you know that it is possible, no matter where you are in life, no matter how low you feel or how dark your reality is, it is possible to change in life, and you are worthy of change. You are worthy for fighting for yourself and fighting for your life and having the courage to show up every day for yourself and use your will. You have will. We all have will. And to use the power of choice, the gift of choice, to do something new for yourself and to manifest your dreams and to become the brilliant being that you were born to be. I truly believe every single human being is brilliant, has brilliance. And what I mean by brilliance is, like, has light, has love, has, like, has magic, it has power. Ow. Yeah, and so I shared this with you as evidence that you can change and you can become different. Also, in high school, I was a BC student, and when I got to college, my first semester of college, I moved to Arizona. So I went from living in Paris to living in Tucson, Arizona. And that first semester, I had to retake geometry and algebra because my math scores were so low from high school. That first semester, I got all A's. I was in French 3, I was in 2 math classes, I was in like 6 classes, and I got all A's. And my first 2 years of university, I studied my ass off and got all A's except for 1B, which was in Calculus 1. But I went up all the way to Calculus 3 in Arizona. And that was my only B was Calc 1. And then I started off as a geology major, and then I switched to civil engineering. After I did 2 years at University of Arizona, then I changed to University of Houston and ended up doing 5 years in college. And that was because I changed my major once, I changed state schools once, and I also picked up a minor, which is in energy and sustainability. And then I also did an engineering degree. So yeah, that's my story. And so now here I am as a civil engineer working at a firm here in Houston and studying, traveling, challenging myself, pushing myself, and on a mission to discover what is the nature of life, what is this thing that we're in, and how do we get the most out of it, and how do we cultivate beauty, love, how do we become magnificent and super and extraordinary. So anyways, that's my story. It's very long. Wow, 20. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye.